Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. It is Big Cheds. Let's go back there. It's Big Cheds. I am coming to you on Wednesday, August 17th, 2022. I want to say thank you. This is a replay of the Twitter Spaces conversation I had yesterday. It was awesome. I love the fact that I can just go live on Twitter and bring people in and just talk to them, hear their questions, and have a conversation. And throughout these conversations, it really helps me to stay in touch with you and kind of stay in touch with the community, the ethos, of crypto Twitter. And that's just really important for what I do, for my trading, for my teaching, and all that. But for learning too is critical. So we're starting to build a nice body of work here in the playlist on my YouTube channel. If you go to the playlist Twitter Spaces, we're starting to build a nice archive of these conversations. So I'm going to continue to upload them. They're great to go back and listen to. I really enjoy them, and hopefully you are as well. I'm, of course, Big Cheds on Twitter. Please consider following me there. Cheds Trading, you know about all the playlists, the tutorials to help you learn how to trade, the free version of the book, the spaces, the market updates. You folks know about all that. The book, of course, is Trading Wisdom, 50 Lessons Every Trader Should Know. It's available on Amazon, Kindle, audiobook, hardcover, and paperback. Free version, of course, on the YouTube channel. Bitcoin Live at the best in class educational platform for crypto. I'm part of a literally world-class team. I think we're among the best. And for 4 years, I've been doing market reports twice a week. I'll do one tonight, and I do one Sunday night. I stop and look at the entire market, answer questions, and I've been doing that for 4 years. So it's something I'm really proud of. So anyway, this is a replay of the Twitter Spaces. So let's get this going. Hello, everybody. Thank you for your patience. If you're listening to this on a replay, I want to say thank you. I appreciate you spending time to listen to this conversation. This is part of the Twitter Spaces series where I stop what I'm doing and ask you folks to join the conversation. You tell me about your perspectives on the market. You ask questions, and we kind of share our thoughts. I will occasionally have a guest host who can add some more light, some more context, some more information, and that may or may not happen. But anyway, thank you for joining the conversation. I'm just starting it out right now. I'm going to tweet out so people know that I am doing it, and then we will get this party started. Join, boom, tweet it. All right, so folks, I'm Big Cheds, at Big Cheds on Twitter. Please consider following me if you do not already. I am the author of Trading Wisdom, 50 Lessons Every Trader Should Know. That book is available right now on Amazon in 4 formats: Kindle, hardcover, audiobook, and paperback format. There's also a free version, which I'm putting together on my YouTube channel, which is Cheds Trading. If you look at the top of the spaces, there's a link to my YouTube channel. I would just encourage you or really ask you to consider checking that out. I've got tons of great educational material, market updates, some great interviews, and just a lot of great value there for you folks. As well, of course, I am a founding analyst at Bitcoin Live. I've been doing market reports there for over 4 years. Twice a week, I stop and do a full market update, looking at all the top coins, taking chart requests, answering questions. And really, no matter what I'm doing, I stop and do that. It's great for me to keep practicing. It's of great value to the members. And I'm just one guy on the team. There are several other contributors, a world-class team, something I'm incredibly proud of. So please consider checking that out. What we're going to do, I'm going to bring you up into the conversation. I'm going to add probably about 3 speakers at a time. I'd like you to please wait patiently until I call your name. Once I've called your name, it's your time to step up and share your thoughts. Please make sure Twitter has access to your microphone. Please do not unmute yourself. If I mute you and you keep unmuting yourself, I'm going to remove you and find someone else. So those are the rules. I'd love to hear from you folks. You're just listening right now and you haven't requested. Please go ahead and do that right now and join the queue. I usually do get to everyone. So if you've ever had a question you wanted to ask, I'm right here. We're just having a casual conversation. This is the time to do it. So hit that request button and we'll bring you in on the conversation. Just as a reminder, this is a recorded spaces. It will be uploaded to my YouTube channel as well for posterity and all that jazz. All right, let's see who wants to talk. I see some friends. Naka wants to join. Maybe he can speak as well. I'm going to get Naka up here. He's one of my guys, go-to guys for FA fundamentals. All right, let's get. I'm going to bring a few of you up here. Please wait until I call you, and then it will be your turn. Let's start out with Mahir Huncho. Mahir Huncho, it is your turn. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Chad? How's it going?
Pretty good, dude. What's up with you, man?
Good, good. So I was actually thank God you did this space. I've been wanting to ask you something.
Uh-oh. That sounds like some
So,
heavy topics coming my way.
well, here's the thing. I realized something about myself these past couple days.
Yeah.
So basically, I've been trading Bitcoin, and I'm an okay trader. I've been watching you for around a year and whatnot, and I look up the stuff that you put out on Twitter. I don't just ask questions under your comments. So the thing is, usually whatever. So like, okay, so if I were to buy Bitcoin, then I start fearing that it's going to go down. And if I were to sell, then I start fearing that it's going to go up. Whenever I buy in or I sell, I start seeing the other point of view right away. Even though like I have technical analysis that like plays out and what my original plan was, but at the end of the day, whatever move I do, I start seeing the opposite move. Like, okay, I start believing the opposite move is going to happen. And I don't know how to cope with that.
Yeah, a lot. It's a great question. We're talking about kind of following through on an idea, having the confidence to follow through on an idea. And just what I found is that the larger my position, the harder it is to stick to my guns. Right. So you want to maybe look at your position sizing. You want to find the right amount in terms of your trades that you're able to really execute the knowledge, the things that that you've studied. A lot of the problems that we have are self-created by sizing too big. If your first position is really big, it's just going to make every move harder. Which is why I recommend people take partial profits, because every time you take profit on a position, it makes the remaining decisions easier for whatever you have left holding. So I would start by looking at your position sizing, and I think that's going to help you kind of follow through on those good ideas that you think you have. All right.
Yeah, appreciate it. Just one more question, real quick.
Yeah.
You're in the U.S., correct?
Yep.
So, what do you use to long and short crypto? Because I'm trying to short crypto in the U.S. and I don't know what app to use.
I don't have any recommendations for that, but I wish you well, brother. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Let's bring up next up. We have Haroon. Nice to see you back, Haroon. What's
Hello,
going on?
Chad. How are you?
Yo. Pretty good. Pretty good. How you doing?
Okay, my question is that as we all know that, sorry, as we all know that Mt. Gox BTC are going to release this month. So, what impact do you see on its prices? Do you think it can dump really hard, or
I
it
think
can
it'll be a
be?
minimal impact. Actually, what's interesting, if you go back, do you listen to most? I don't know if you listen to most of my spaces, but two spaces ago. So if you go to YouTube, look at there's look at the second to last one. There was somebody who was like a Mount Gox recipient. He talked about a lot about like who's getting what and when and the different options and all that. I mean, everyone's got theories. I think whatever the impact will be, it's not going to be a big one. It will be a more subtle or a steady thing. I don't think it's going to be a big dump or a big pump. I think it's just something people are thinking about as a way to get scared and to worry about a forward-looking event. Just focus on what the price is doing now in relation to support and resistance. But if you're really interested, go back and watch that space as I did the two before this. So it would have been probably a week. I think it was 8/4, August 4th. Go check out the August 4th space. Somewhere in the middle, there was a guy who can give you a little bit more information about that because he's one of the recipients. Okay.
Okay, one last question.
Yeah.
Um, Now, if we look at the price of ETH, do you think that has stopped, or it has still room to go? Because on
It's
15th,
got room to go as long as it holds the daily MA20. I mean, that's the support level, right?
yeah.
So as long as it holds daily MA20, uptrend's fully intact. Okay, buddy?
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Great questions. So folks, it's great to have you. I'm gonna bring you up and love to hear from you. Please wait until I call you. It makes it a great conversation. All the kind of the input you have in your perspective, so don't be shy. just go ahead and I'll bring you up to speak. Please wait until I call you and make sure Twitter has access to your microphone. What's up, Tasty Curry? It's your
Hey,
turn. Yo.
I have a question.
Sure.
So do you think that, well, it seems that there's been a pullback in Bitcoin right now. Do you think there's a chance that this bear market rally has ended, or is it just a pullback that's going to lead to a further move up?
Yeah, it definitely could be the top, but it certainly well may not be. There could be enough power to maintain the higher low structure on the daily chart, despite the outside bars and despite even the negative, the bearish divergence with on-balance volume. The price can continue to push higher as long as it holds support. It could make it all the way up to 28K, maybe even the daily MA 200. But it has an early rejection, but it's done that before, 4 or 5 times in this channel, only to put in a higher low and to continue. So at this point, we're just watching that higher low area. I think around 22.5K. I think that really needs to hold. If that doesn't hold, that would suggest that the top of this rally is probably in.
Okay. One final question.
All right.
So ES seems to have pumped today, but it seems like Bitcoin is not following suit. Do you know
Yep.
why that is?
Not as much strength. Right. And this is why I tell people, a lot of people say, oh, why do you even bother doing TA? Just going to follow the market. Well, sometimes not. You have to chart whatever you're trading. So there's just relative weakness in Bitcoin. It's not a matter of 1 second, please. Sorry about that. So it's just who cares about the why? The why is irrelevant. You have to deal with the new information, right? So it's just relatively weak compared to equities. I mean, the why, nobody will. There's no one's ever going to know what the exact why is because it's all speculative. All that matters, does BTC hold high or low structure? Like I just answered the same answer to the first question. All right, buddy.
Yep.
Great to have you. Thank you, Naka. What's going on? Naka wants to speak on that.
Thanks. Yeah, I was just going to say I actually do have the answer for the why.
Let's hear it.
More sellers than buyers.
Yeah. True that. There you go. Right. So like that's all you need to know. So Toy and Crypto, it's your turn today. It's great to see you. What's going on?
What's going on, Chads?
Hi.
Yeah. Hi. How are you? I'm still reading your book. I think
Okay.
I made up to chapter 5, so I'm getting some wisdom there. But I wanted to touch on the last conversation we had at the last spaces where I was emphasizing like Bitcoin needs to come down. It needs to create a higher low. Like, where's the higher low? And it just kept flying up. And I was like, I'm not gonna ape into this because I was so tempted to like ape into it, but I'm glad I waited, and I'm still waiting actually for it to come down to that 23.5. I mean, you say 22.5, but I'm thinking 23.5. But do you still feel like we have another round up? Like, do you feel like this will still make its way back? Like, it's really been very sort of clean cut. Like, goes up, comes down, goes up, comes down. It's like in a
Yep.
rain. So do you have a strong feeling that this time around maybe it'll go back up again and maybe head down to 28? And what would
No, I don't have a strong feeling. No, I don't have any kind of real conviction because you can make really an argument in a lot of directions here. So when I get to that kind of position, I just focus on, is it going to hold higher lows or not? Are we doing a rising wedge? Do we break out of the rising wedge? You know,
Yeah, because a lot of people are nervous because this has happened before. Like if you go back into the chart, Bitcoin chart, you see where it had the same rising wedge back in May to June, and boom, that huge downward spiral. I mean, those were related to incidents, right? Liquidations, Voyager, Celsius, or whatever. And so we're looking at this again and saying maybe this will happen, another big downward dump. So a lot of people are very nervous.
well, look,
And
I'm nervous too, right? We're all nervous, right? No, I'm just kidding. Listen, you got to try to be more analytical. It's a relief rally that's stronger than the one we saw in May and June, right? You can compare them, but this is a stronger relief rally.
right.
You've been on these spaces. You understand there's still a couple checkpoints left in this relief rally. 25.5, which is the May 12th low. 28K, and then the daily MA200. If it starts trading above the daily MA200, it's no longer a relief rally, right?
Right.
So let's just lay back and let it unfold. Don't have to anticipate too much. If you're looking to buy and you want it to dump, then don't be scared if and when it dumps. And that kind of thing. So just kind of let it play out. But it's not. The point is, it's stronger than it was May to June. I mean, we're in a different state of play, and we have been since we flipped the daily EMA 34. We've talked about that. So it's a little bit analogous. More so, I'd be looking at February, March than May to June. The analogy works better if you look at the February to March price action. And
Right.
that's kind of the state we're in right now. Okay.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. All right, folks. I'm Big Cheds. I've got Nakamoto Lisk in the room as well. I'd love to hear from you. It's a casual conversation. It's Tuesday, 16th of August. This is a recorded space. I will upload it to my YouTube channel at Cheds Trading. Please consider following me on Bitcoin, on Twitter, and subscribing to YouTube. I want to hear from you. Hit request. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to hear your questions. Ebram, what would you like to say?
Hey, Fez, how are you doing?
Hey, buddy.
It's been a while since I've been here. Now I see you have three speakers all going at the same time. So it seems like
Nope,
you've
just
developed your. Oh,
yes.
I know. But I'm just like
Yeah.
commenting that you've developed your own system here on Spaces, which is great.
Yeah.
I have a question that is actually related to the stock market. Would you be up for that, or would I just keep it within crypto?
I mean, you can try. Hold on, I got to remove someone. So listen, when I bring you up and I mute you, please don't unmute yourself. I just had someone, unmute themselves 3 times after I muted them. You need to wait till it's your turn, and I'll bring you up, folks. So I just removed someone, and someone else now has your slot. All right. So you want to know about stock market? Sure.
Yeah, so the point being is that I've tried to look at all the historical price action on S&P and Nasdaq, and for the
Yeah.
size of the correction we've had and the size of rally we've had, I don't think we have seen it go below the bottom that was established. In other words, do you think we have bottomed here based on historical price action?
It's too early to tell. You're still trading below the daily MA200. I mean, it rejected there last time on back. What is that? And it's in the middle of April. The SPY, right around April 20th, right? Happy Earth Day. That's when it rejected, right around that time. And we're right there right now. So we got to see, can we clear can we clearly clear the the MA200 here? I think it's too early to tell. Naka, what do you think? Has market bottomed in equities?
I mean, that's $1 million question. I think the problem with the equities market right now is that the technicals to me look actually really, really good. Not the kind of trend following stuff like, daily MAs, but like things like market breadth indicators. So, number of stocks above a certain MA, number of stocks with a certain amount of volume, etc. So technicals look really, really good on it. The problem and the reason that I'm still somewhat hesitant on the market as a whole is that pretty much every fundamentals analyst is bearish, and we're seeing short squeezes on Bed Bath and Beyond. So if there is the possibility that this just keeps going up and everyone who's bearish looks really stupid. But there is also the possibility that this is one of the nastiest bull traps in the history of financial markets that we're all walking into. And really, the fundamentals and the short squeezes are red flags, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, it's a little bit like we've seen oftentimes in crypto, where you get the fringier altcoins that start to rip towards the top of the run.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing people are aping into Shiba Inu, but there isn't a bid for Solana.
That's weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's not clear whether that's a sign of health or a sign of sort of, rigor mortis. So I'm being careful. I am looking at buying some altcoins, and if I don't really dabble in legacy markets, but I would have some SPY exposure if I did. or some at least some exposure if I did
Yep.
at this point.
All right. Thank you, brother. Jordan Barrow, what would you like to say, Jordan?
Pleasure, Chez. Just a quick one. I've seen a lot of conflicting opinions across Twitter. One of the main ones would be from Income Sharks. He's pretty bullish. He's been bullish pretty much since the start of July.
Since way
Whereas a
before
lot
that.
of
Since way before that. He's been bullish
yeah,
since
yeah, yeah.
February.
Sorry. I mean, he done his buying challenge in July. It just sort of
Oh.
spoke volumes for how confident that he was. That sort of everyone was one sided. And I've just got one question.
Yeah.
Would it be smart to do his approach almost in like DCA? And you see, I'm sort of stuck between DCA and gradually, or where I'm weighted out in the market, or what? Because I've DCA'd in this past 6 months, and I've got burnt even DCA in. So I don't know what the best strategy here is at the minute. I'm looking at all the.
Yeah. So first of all, Income Shark is a really good trader. He's fantastic. I've had him on my YouTube too. I did an interview with him. You can check that out.
Yeah, I respect him. Respect him.
He's really good. So, but like if you're DCAing and it gets and your position goes against you, well, you shouldn't care because you're still. That's the whole point. Is you're dollar cost averaging. Is you're just buying not for now, you're buying for down the road. So you have to make a decision and stick with it. Like if you're dollar cost averaging, you have to understand that you're probably gonna have to buy a little bit lower or at least be comfortable with it, right? Like if you're not, now it sounds like you're actually trading. Like that's a trade. Where you buy it and now it goes down lower and now you're pissed about it or you're upset or you're unsure. Like you got to make a decision: are you trading or are you investing? Here's what I'll say, and then I don't know. Hopefully, this will add some context and help you make your decision. So people like said I've been pretty bearish for a while, and it's true. And even as the price was like, 18, 17, 18, 19K, and I still have been saying I think it's probably going lower. I also said if you're investing, like dollar cost averaging at the weekly MA 200 is fine, is smart. Like that's like a really solid long-term conservative strategy. So even as I was pretty sure we were going lower, I'd say, well, I said, I get why people are buying here to dollar cost average. So you have to think about when you're dollar cost averaging, what's your time horizon? If it's a few years, fine. Why do you care if it goes a little bit lower? But if it's a few days or a few weeks, then you're trading. You're not dollar cost averaging. So you got to kind of think about what you're trying to do here, brother. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I think it was more spreading out across a long enough time. I was going all in. Maybe say my budget was $500 or $1,000. I was putting in maybe $50 out of that 500 as opposed to $30. So I was maybe not getting my strategy right. Like I was maybe putting in too much money every so often.
Well, listen, I'll tell you what. The best thing you can do is stay in the game. Find a way to survive because you'll get experience. And that a way to help do that is to bet less, smaller amounts, smaller position sizes, and be really quick to admit when your idea is not working. So that's what you got to do. If you apply those principles, you'll figure out a way that works for you. Okay.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Great to have you in here. Naka, did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, just on the DCAing thing, I actually think I've bought a portion of Bitcoin, and I have basically been out of the market. I was in and out for a quick buy that was quickly stopped back in the previous consolidation range in January, February. But I'm actually thinking that buys at this level are, you just hold them, right? Like
Yes.
And it doesn't matter whether you bought higher up. I mean, if you bought higher up, you kind of screwed up. If you didn't buy in the kind of 17 to 20K range, which I didn't, you also kind of screwed up. But like the screw up from 19K to 23K is actually relatively small, right? Like, so if you bought in that range, I think it's just a permanent hold, pretty much no matter what Bitcoin does. If you're interested in buying Bitcoin, this is the lowest this is probably close to the lowest it's ever going to be. And if we do take a leg down, it's possible. I think it could go as low as the low teens, but I think at that point you just really do have to double down on it and buy more. And you know, so I mean, yeah, I mean, if you have been DCAing, I think this is actually a point to accelerate and buy, you know, aggressively, rather than be cautious because you've been burned, right? I mean, like, this is it. This is the place. You know, this is like buying at 3.7K in 2018, right? And you're like worried that you missed 3.2K. You know, get those thoughts out of your head. Allocate to Bitcoin and be prepared if it does go lower to allocate even more.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable. I agree mostly. I don't know how heavy I would go right here because we're kind of showing some signs of top of channel, you know, top of a relief rally. And maybe even if the bottom's in, you still think it could flush to 19, 20K again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, what I've done, Sheds, is I've covered myself with a put spread, which basically covers me for downside for a limited amount of time. So if we do dump, I'm going to make like, you know, 6 to 10x depending on how deep it goes. But that's like a limited time bet, and so it's not like I'm going to wait forever. If either going to dump relatively soon or it's not.
Right. All right. Fair enough. All right, folks. That's Nakamoto Lisk, and he's on some new account, Nakamoto Lisk intern. I'm Big Cheds. Follow me on Twitter at Big Cheds. Please check out my YouTube, Cheds Trading, and subscribe there. I want to hear from you. We only have about 10 or 15 people, or not even that many, who want to speak, but there are several hundred of you listening. Wherever you are, my friends, I want you to hit that mic request button. We'd love to hear what you think. We want to hear your opinion, your thoughts, your most important, your questions. And we'll keep this conversation going because once I run out of people asking to speak, the conversation will end. So it's on you. Please request. We'd love to hear from you. Next up, we have Douglas, who's been waiting patiently. Douglas, what would you like to say?
Well, hi. First, I have, I guess, two perspectives. The first, I guess, viewpoint is I think it's crazy. The stock market has recovered pretty well, but I guess on a macro level, you know, cost of living's higher, inflation's pretty high. So that's like one opposing viewpoint. That's, do you consider like the economic factors, or do you consider price action, right, and technical analysis? And I guess the other perspective is the main idea I've been using to trade is the logarithmic growth curve. And it sort of has identified pretty decent buy zones where buying in that area gets you sort of ludicrous results. And I think right now it's anything around 24K. So I hear a lot of people, including myself, you're kind of uneasy when to buy. And I guess it's sort of find a position you can hedge in, whether it's Ethereum or Bitcoin, something more solid. But I think, but be okay with, you know, downside risk. But I do think we're closer to the bottom, you know, than most people think we are. Because I think sentiment is really crazy, especially on crypto Twitter. You know, towards the top, people are overly bullish, and I think now people are getting overly bearish.
That's great. You have some great topics in there, and thank you for stepping up. I'll take the first part first. I mean, yes, there's like a disconnect between, you know, it's always been a disconnect between whatever, like K Street and Main Street, or like whatever, the Wall Street and Main Street. Yeah, like people are squeezed. I mean, and there's no doubt about it. And a lot of the stock market rise, a lot of it's been fueled by buybacks in a lot of these companies too. So, you know, where's that buyback money coming from? So there's, for me, I just do price action. Let me answer that part. It's just, for me though, it's just price. So I just follow a trend and I look to see when it gets stronger or weaker. And I kind of look for maybe, you know, move outside of the deviation, you know, like a dip, which I think is going to snap back or something like that. In terms of sentiment, I don't think we're anywhere near the sentiment bottom. I don't think it's even close. And that's something I think about. I write about. Like, it's very key to my analysis. There was incredible froth at the November top. Part of the reason I don't think we're really at the bottom is because we don't have enough to spare. There's way too much bullishness in the market, from my view. And this is what makes a market, is because you probably see it differently, and that's awesome. Like, if we all agreed, the price would never move and it would be really boring. So, you know, but from my perspective, we're nowhere near a sentiment bottom, and we haven't had it this cycle. That's a main component that's missing. And that could come on maybe a retest of 17K. Maybe that would be a sentiment bottom or something like that. But I don't think we've had the sentiment bottom yet at all. In terms of buying here is totally reasonable. We talked about it last time, but I think you have to kind of given the technical setup, if you look at the weekly chart, we've only closed above the weekly 8 EMA 3 times since the November top. We did it twice back on the February-March failed breakout, and we might be doing it exactly the same thing here, kind of a mirror. That's why I said to the earlier person, Toy and Crypto's her name, that it's more like February-March than May-June, right? So the weekly chart, and Naka talked about a beautiful bull trap. I mean, we could roll over here on the weekly chart, given what we're seeing on the daily chart, rising wedge, double outside bar, the bear. I've never seen triple bear divergence in OBV. This move up has not been supported by price. It doesn't look right to me, and that's why I'm still seeing all these red flags, man. What's that?
Yeah, lack of volume as well.
Like a volume, and it's not. You don't always get volume because a trend that's moving doesn't need volume because you've already got an imbalance in supply and demand. But it's more so where the volume is showing on the green days versus the red days, and like the volume has been more in the red days than the green days, and that's why we're getting the divergence. So yes, but with a caveat. So anyway, great point. Thank you for stepping up today, buddy. Okay.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I wish you well. I hope you do really well, folks. Let's please request. We want to hear from you. Rucker Soul, it's your turn. What would you like to say?
Hey, Chad. Thanks for doing these.
Thank you for coming. Thanks for coming.
Absolutely. So I've seen you several times rail on Twitter against new traders using RSI to find bottoms. And then today I saw you talk about particularly in a downtrend. So with that caveat, is oversold RSI something that's only worthless in a downtrend? Like conversely, if we were overbought in a downtrend, is that something that you would then look at, or is RSI pretty much something that I should stay away from in general as a
That's a
trader?
great point. You made a great point too. So there's context too, like like an oversold 30 RSI in an uptrend would be more appealing because that'd be a movement against the trend. But I was making a very blunt point, which of course can be picked apart, which you just did, which is like asking about the context. Here's the point I want to make. So there's several things about RSI, and I actually have an upcoming video with Chartman Dan, who's someone who's like in my top 3 recommended list of people to follow on Twitter and YouTube, the chart guys, and he's like really good and uses RSI all the time and like diagonal lines, which I hate using. So there's so many different ways to do this, but those are things that new traders, I recommend they don't use because they're very easy to mess up. So it's very easy to buy just because you see, the RSI, last time the RSI was below 30, it bounced, at some point. But what you don't realize is what I learned, and it took me many years of trading and of studying and doing all this stuff, is I realized, wow, I've been trading against the trend for most of my career. And it's like, why am I would be picking all these charts and saying, I think it's going to bounce here. I think the downtrend is going to end right here. And it's like I was trying to do these reversal plays, and I just get burned instead of riding the trend, doing a continuation, buying a retest or buying a breakout, continuing in the direction of the trend. RSI, how do you become oversold, right? How do you oversold, RSI 14 period? How do you become oversold is by going below 30, right? But how do you get to that point? You're bearish. You can only drop below 30 by being bearish. So I don't want to be long in something bearish, right? If you want, you can wait for it to bottom out, and then if you want to look at buying when it breaks back up above 30, I guess that's okay. But you really shouldn't even. You don't want to be looking at oscillators too much, because they'll start to influence you into making a trade. Like your trade needs to come from what the price is doing based on support and resistance. You can certain circumstances look at these oscillators to confirm your idea, but they should never generate one. So I used to think, it's oversold, I'm going to buy it because it's going to bounce. But the biggest price drops come after the price becomes oversold. Conversely, in bull runs, in a bull run, you break above 70 and you think, it's got to cool off. Nope. I got a 1 hour shooting star candle. I'm going to short it here. But what happens? You get stopped out like 4 hours later. The only way to get to 70 is by being bullish. And the biggest bull runs happen after right after it becomes quote unquote overbought. So we convince ourselves in our mind that overbought means number go down and oversold means number go up, but it's not the case, which is why I tell new traders, stop doing that. Be careful. Don't even use RSI in the beginning. Like, understand, just draw. Can you draw the key resistances? Does the price respond to it? Can you identify the key support and resistance levels? Just follow the price. RSI is going to get you in a lot of trouble unless you're really good. I mean, there's great traders who use it, but it's a really rough learning curve. It's probably going to send you in the wrong direction. So that is my opinion on that.
Awesome, thanks, man. And yeah, I've looked at the Sol chart, and we were at like 90 RSI, and that was around $81, and then obviously it cranked all the way to 215. So
Yeah,
I
and
see
it's
exactly
ridiculous.
what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. I appreciate you just explaining that and giving some context, brother. Thank you.
Thank you. Great to have you there. So, who's next? Let's see. Trome, it's your turn. Trome.
Hey, what's up, Chad?
Yo.
Yeah,
Hi.
thanks for doing this, man.
Thank you.
Background on myself. I don't know how I found your account. I started doing options trading maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Actually, now probably about 2 years ago. Kind of did like my own route of like studying, typical bot, Discord account, all this other bullshit, where there's a lot of fluff involved. But I really appreciate your insight and everything like that. So I'll let you know that. And then I was kind of wondering, um, a little bit of background on yourself. I appreciate the insight. Everything is very to the point, very clear. Clearly explained and obvious. I was wondering when you had first started trading. I don't know how much detail you could give, but I guess what were I guess more of your pitfalls and I guess
Yeah,
you can kind of
definitely.
go into that and
This
then
is such a great topic. Sure. What else?
yeah, I was kind of just wondering about that because I mean I've dealt with the emotional side, we're going
Yep.
all in, revenge trading, blah blah blah, and I've had
Yeah.
mild success, and then sometimes end up giving it all back. So I was kind of wondering, like how you got into it,
Mm-hmm.
your biggest pitfalls, and I guess kind of what your checklist is as far as how you decide when you want to get in,
Mm-hmm.
and then do you have any like favorite setups? Like I
So,
personally have a
couple.
few.
Yeah.
I personally have a few tickers, like Nvidia, some of the New York Stock Exchange, and I pretty much just trade off of uh, price action. I know basic charting, support and resistance, and pretty much the only indicators I really use are volume and then
Mm-hmm.
7-day and 30-day moving averages.
Mm-hmm.
And I also, if you could give me like a 1 or 2 minute spiel on your book, because I see you advertise it a lot, and I've
Sure.
honestly just haven't really dug into it, but I know just from following you on Twitter for the last few months, you're very knowledgeable and a lot of great calls. So
Thank you,
I
brothers.
appreciate it.
That's a great. I trying to figure out which thread to pull in the sweater here. There are a lot of great questions there. So the last thing I'll say before I really dig into the main topic is when you talk about trading Nvidia, I think it's good. I actually think that whatever you trade, it should be something you're comfortable with and and you have muscle memory on. So one of the things I would have told my younger self is to cut my watch list in half. Right, cut my watch list by 2/3. Bouncing around from play to play is the death of a bankroll. And like whatever you're playing, it really helps to understand the chart and have muscle memory on the chart. My book, so I started doing, I've been trading for 15 years, but I didn't really take it seriously, till about 7 or 8 years ago, 9 years ago. Um, and, when I started doing social media back in 2014, my motto was helping new traders avoid my old mistakes. And so like I realized I'm making all these dumb mistakes and I was repeating them. So like to not do them again, I start teaching them to other people because for any skill to master it, you have to be able to teach someone else. So that started that. And like my book is the culmination of many years of that, and a blog that I started back in 2017. I was going through like a cool project to focus on, when like other bad stuff was going on. And so that blog plus my Twitter account and all that, and I was like, I want to write a book at some point. So I came up with 50 lessons, and it's basically 1/3 trading psychology, 1/3 risk management, and 1/3 technical analysis. So it kind of like, because I've studied Eastern and Western technical analysis. I've studied Shawback or Japanese candlesticks. I did CMT level 1, so I got like a really strong background in that stuff. But it can't be too heady. So I found a way to distill a lot of it into the stuff. It's the stuff I wanted to tell myself if I could go back in time, and that's really what. Can get it for free on my YouTube channel, where I've done 16 of the 50 lessons. I'm going to do another one probably this week. So I'm putting out like a free version as well. So if you're not sure, you're curious, just go watch that playlist. You have almost a third of the book that's just there for free already. So that would be my spiel in the book. In terms of, again, like going back to when I started, the biggest mistakes were adding to losing positions. And that's still the big, that's what blew up, 3 or 4 accounts. That's the only reason for all of my biggest losses, right? Because every big loss was once a small loss begging to be cut. Or to take a small loss will often lead to the opportunity to refuse to take a big loss. So that's the big one. I mean, you don't need more than that. So, when your idea fails, just admit it and get out. Live to fight another day. So that'd be my question there. Naka, did you want to speak on that subject?
Yeah, just to say the same thing, really. I've had a lot of ideas that actually panned out, and I chickened out of them before we really saw what happened. I've had a lot of ideas that actually went a little bit wrong, and I stayed in, and then they went very wrong. Often when I was sort of quite oversized on them. And those have been the things that have actually destroyed me. I could have taken in May 2021, I could have taken some small losses to avoid losing like $10,000 on a cross margin liquidation, right? Now, obviously that's easy to say within hindsight, but like the ability to really know when to cut or downsize an idea that's losing is probably the thing that matters most. And it's not always easy to do, right? Because you can make errors in both directions on this. But I would definitely say if it's a spot position in something you have confidence in, then you probably shouldn't really be so keen to cut it. If it's a leverage position where there's an absorbing barrier, i.e. liquidation, then you need to be super conservative.
All right. That's great context. That's great information. We love having you here. Thank you so much, Trome, for the question. I'm going to move on, but I wish you well, brother. Thank you. Let's see. Bitcoin India. Oh, this will be good. What's up, Bitcoin India? Talk to me.
Hey, Chads. Appreciate the time and effort you put into conducting these Twitter spaces.
Thank you.
So my question is, you've mentioned that a major missing bottom indicator for you has been the despair in sentiment repeatedly.
Correct.
And, there's been calls for sub 10,000 Bitcoin, 12 to 14,000 Bitcoin since a while now. Now, considering a hypothetical scenario where you mentioned that you're open to the possibility where Bitcoin might go retest 17,000, 18,000 and could potentially put an organic bottom in there. My question would be, in such a hypothetical scenario when we are retesting that 17, 18K range, I'm sure like sentiment starts to look like despair, right? We'll have calls for 10,000, 8,000, 6,000 Bitcoin. How in that moment would you, is there anything you use qualitatively to figure out that is that the true despair you're looking for, or are we actually going to shoot down there?
That's such a great question, and thank you for stepping up. I think it'd be interesting if we say we get to 17 and we hold it. Let's say we get to 17 and hold it for like a week, 10 days. And then like the next day we break down and hit like 16.4. You'll see a huge amount of people give up under that situation. And then we bounce back up, right? And then go, right? A classic double bottom where the second bottom is lower. In that moment, that could cause a panic bottom. You'd see people coming out. You'll see stories. I gave up. I'm out. I can't believe this thing's a scam. And you'll just start to see the stuff that you see in a sentiment bottom that has been missing. There's just too many people smiling and feeling good because they bought already 17, 18K range. at the weekly 200. It was just too easy. It's still, you never didn't have the same despair we've had in prior crashes or prior market bottoms. So I could see that forming at 17K, where we would be holding it initially and then temporarily lose it, kind of in a fake out move. Maybe that would trigger a sentiment bottom. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I just wanted to get your thoughts on that scenario. And I think my thoughts are more or less along the same line. So yeah, I appreciate you sharing your feedback.
Thank you, man. Be good. Make sure to follow me on YouTube, Ched's Trading.
Definitely, I already do. Thank you.
Naka, what's cracking, Naka?
Yeah, I would say I agree on this. The sentiment bottom probably isn't really in, but you have to understand the way that sentiment bottom could form is a trip up to deviate above 48K and then back down. So, because that is kind of what it did in the previous cycle, right? Deviated all of the bear market rally highs and then took it right back down to the lows. So be ready for something like that in your positioning.
My man. Next up, we have the Magnate. What would you like to say?
Hello, guys. I appreciate for making it. Well, I actually requested quite earlier on about the RSI and then the levels. Actually, the Indian Bitcoin, I think they raised again the important the levels. I think we're gonna skip that RSI bit because I'm also a trader based on a multiple time frame analysis fib and then support resistance for the less noise and stuff. But in my opinion, sorry.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Well, in my opinion, we're not really bottomed out yet. It might sound a bit, I don't know, maybe a bit bearish, but the levels that I'm looking actually, yeah, we got a response from 17,500, whatever those levels. But I'm expecting the BTC. This is a correction, in my opinion. We're done with the bull market. Obviously, people. Well, if we didn't lose $34,000 based on a weekly time frame, I would have said, okay, we're early to talk about it. But on 2nd of May, we lost it, and literally that confirmed actually, and then the buy is completely changed. However, I think we can see about 8,000, between 12 and an $8,000. That's where a lot of confidence in the market. And at the moment, again, based on once we broke $24,000, the market was expecting, okay, we're done with it. Even some people are claiming if we're going to break 28 or 30, that's it. It's going to be, starting again the bull market. I think that's a bit, well,
all right.
I'm not really agreed on that theory.
Sure. Well, great, brother. Thank you for stepping up today. I think a lot of people share those sentiments. I think you can make a good argument, kind of from in any way, but it's reasonable to think this is just a bear market rally. Still, we're still below the 200. We're still below 28K. You can certainly identify levels of support in the teens and kind of map out scenarios. But I don't think anyone really knows right now. Not that they ever really do, but I think it's really up. It doesn't look right. Something's not right. I just a weird triple negative divergence. I've never seen that. And but ETH with the merge, I mean, ETH propping up BTC, that could continue and kind of break all the rules. I don't know. So we'll wait and see. But I mostly agree with you. Let's see. King Wabi the First. What's up? Your time to shine, folks. Please, I'm going to bring you into the conversation on Big Chats on Twitter. Make sure Twitter has access to your microphone. I will bring you up, and we'd love to hear from King Wabi the First. What's going on?
Hey, man. How are you, Cheds?
Pretty good. How you doing?
It's been a while since I came on your space.
Thanks, dude. Good to hear from you.
Yeah. I just wanted to give my thoughts about the bottom and see if you see the same things that I see in a way. So as far as 17K 0.5 or 6 goes, from a drawdown perspective, it's kind of similar to the 5.5 level that we hit in 2018 throughout anytime we would reject off of 9 or 10K. But the sentiment was pretty extreme. I remember that day so clearly. everyone had a space going on, and I recall one space from this individual called Magoo, and the title was called Contagion, and
What day was this,
essentially,
brother? When are we talking about? May, right? Was this around
no, no,
May
no,
12th?
no. This was June 17th. June 17th on a Saturday
Okay.
morning at around 10 a.m. 11 a.m. Eastern time.
Was that
I
around
remember.
Celsius? Is that the Celsius stuff? Is that when it hit or
No,
what?
no. This was a few days after Suzu said we are now talking to our partners. Like we're all talking to like the party
Okay.
risks. Yeah,
Yeah.
that tweet.
Okay.
And so, like, to refresh everyone's minds, essentially, it was pure chaos. It was worse than the COVID crash. Everyone was saying how I wouldn't be shocked if we were to hit 12K, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And all of a sudden, I started getting phone calls from a friend of mine who worked in the risk management department for ARC, and he was literally like tweaking. And yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I'm like, okay, on Spaces on my phone, and I'm like, okay, if I want to see real capitulation, if everyone wants to see true capitulation, you don't look at centralized entities like BlockFi, Voyager, or Celsius, because those are essentially BitConnect-esque companies that are accessible via an app now. And so, in my eyes, if I wanted to see capitulation, I wanted it similar to what I saw in May, which was a bank run on the Anchor protocol, which literally almost got me to zero. I held USD and all that stuff, right? Thankfully, I happened. And so,
We're
when
losing
I
a little
went
bit
on
on the.
Aave, when I
We're
went on
having trouble with the. We're having trouble with your connection, brother. So try to wrap it up. You keep going in and out, but you're making a good
Maker, when
point.
I went on Compound.
Hey,
Can
Wabi,
you can you hear?
your connection's not good, Wabi.
Can you
Brother.
guys hear me now?
Yeah, it's a bit better, brother.
Okay. Yeah. So I didn't really see a bank run on like on the liquidation platforms on ETH. I didn't see a bank run on Sol. People were still interacting with these things. And essentially you were buying someone else's blood. And I waited a few days. I saw that initial bounce, and then when we were consolidating a bit, and I saw BTC bounce from like 19 to 20, 19 to 20. I'm like, all right, you know, um, nothing crazy is going on, and I started packing in some bags, and I remember in that space when I had come up to speak, I had asked a question like, if you guys are looking for capitulation, why aren't you guys looking at Aave or whatever? And you know, in that room, there was no logic. People were just talking about price and froth and how alts were propped up on popsicle sticks and all that sort of thing. And so now, from a price gauge perspective, we're mimicking 2018 to an exact T. You have tech and the S&P rallying a lot harder than BTC, and then that's kind of like when equities put in that semi deviation double top-ish, and then that's when BTC kind of dumped and went flatlined and dumped towards the end of the year. And I'm kind of seeing the same thing now. Typically we put in like the real bottom, 18 to 17 months out from the halving, so that puts us in a um, November, late October bottom, and that's really what I'm looking for. And when we do reach that point, and if we're at 17 and 15K, um, like I will max bid at that point, and I'm already taking into account that people will fall for this rally, and when we make new lows, people are really gonna they're gonna be betting on sub 10K, which was very very popular.
All right,
10K,
brother.
7K.
Thank you so much. That's a lot of thoughts there. It's great to hear from you, man. You definitely have a lot of wealth and of experience. Thanks for sharing your perspective. Naka, did you want to kind of touch on base any of that?
Yeah, I mean, Wally, it's good to hear from you, brother. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible that we do that. Although another thing that I've been thinking about is that maybe the bottom is already in, and what we're actually going to do is go up to, attack the highs that Bitcoin put in around 50K, break above those, get everyone bullish, and then it slams back down again. Because there's a lot of sideline money, 100%. It would hurt people a lot if it just kept going up. And then once it gets into the bull market range, there's going to be distribution again, and that I could see it coming down from there. So it's something to be mindful of.
Beautiful. Thank you, my friend. Let's keep the conversation flowing. We'll try to do a little bit more lightning round. I want to get through to all of you, so try to be a little come with your most important questions. Let's see, Lieutenant Ponzi reporting for duty. What's up, Lieutenant?
Chad, can you
What's
hear
up?
me?
Yeah, how you doing?
Good. So just a couple questions. When you were learning trading, did you have any good market sentiment books for being emotional about trading that you recommend?
Just my book, honestly. It's a trading psychology book. A lot of it. I wish I had it when I started. So no. I did read the book Emotional Intelligence by Ronald Goleman, but that was much earlier in my life. And just my life experiences kind of helping me think about the human experience, and just myself prepared me to have that to look at those trading behaviors. Also being a poker player and kind of understanding the psychological journey there, that helped prepare me a little bit. But there was no book I read like the one that I have.
That's kind of what I was asking. The Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas was a good one for me as well. But I was just kind of asking that. And the fact that you said one of the biggest things for a new trader is learning to cut your losses and not double down is massive. I think that's where I started to get a lot better once I learned to just cut instead of add into losers, because there's always another trade out there.
It
Market
helps
never
you feel in
sleeps.
control, right? That's a great job. And when you do that, you start to feel a little bit more in control of your destiny. And that's really important. By defining your risk, you're in control. You're deciding, okay, I'm not going any further. When you decide when you enter a position. So you really need to also decide when you exit the position and feel like you're more in control. So sounds like you're on the right path, brother. All right.
For you, man. Thanks.
Thank you. Great for stepping up. Great topics. I want to hear from you folks. Eddie, it's your turn. Crypto Eddie, you've been patiently waiting. What would you like to say? Eddie, Crypto Eddie, it's your time to shine. And if not, I'll move on.
Hey,
What's up, man?
hey, sorry about that. The mic was off. No, I just wanted to really ask the question of there's a lot of, altcoins at the minute, like on absolute rips. Most of them I'm actually trying to look to short myself, but there's a lot of what do you actually look for when you're looking for to play a short play or a long play? Because
Yep.
there's a lot of coins at the minute that where you would take a short and put the stop above the most recent high, and then it takes out that high, and it's the same as when you're going for longs as well. It takes out the bottom. So what
Here's a
sort
great
of
topic. Here's a great
what are
topic.
you looking at there?
Yeah, the great topic you brought up there. First of all, you definitely want to go to my YouTube and watch the playlist called webinars, masterclass tutorials, and that really tells you everything about my style. But I'll tell you, you want to focus on the most well-defined levels. And there's a real opportunity will jump up and hit you in the face, right? The rest of the time we're really just looking for something to play because we're bored. So, look for a level that's really well defined. It has like 5 or 6 data points. Like it was support 3 times over the course of like 3 months. And then it's been rejected a couple times from the underside. And now it's coming back and it's going to test it again. Like that's a big level. That's a well-defined level. That's not just basing a trade based on one candle wick. If you're just basing your trade based on one candle wick, you're just rushed. It's kind of a lot of gambling. It's not it's like kind of degenerate. And you're kind of hoping that you're got that nut top entry. You want to, what I do is I look for big, if I'm shorting something, I look for a big test from the underside. I want to see an underperforming coin or chart that has just had a really nice rally. Generally speaking, like a dog or a POS that just went on a nice 2-week bounce. and now it's coming up to a level that used to be support, but is now resistance. That's where I'm interested. And conversely, for a long, so I do that. I also like to play like fake out moves, like something called an up thrust or a spring, right? If I'm looking to go long, I want to see a prior support level violated and then quickly recaptured. That's a great spot to go long because now I'm defining my idea as that level being the key level. I'm long above and I'm out below. I'm wrong below, right? So I look for springs or up thrusts, which is the same thing in reverse, where you have a resistance level broken and then very quickly lost. Bitcoin's giving you a bunch of those in this trading channel, interchannel trades. So I look for that. I look for what's called a throwback or a bullish retest. If the price rejects at 100, rejects at 100, rejects at 100, breaks through, runs to 120, then it comes back to 100. I'm going to buy at 100 because that's a retest, right, of the breakout level. I do stuff like that. So check out my YouTube. Go to the TA Masterclass webinar playlist, and that's really going to hook you up. All right, Eddie?
Thanks for having me on, man.
Cheers. iChart, what is going on? Folks, I'm going to bring you into the conversation. We have just a few more. iChart, what's going on?
Hey, Chaz, can you hear me?
Andreas, please wait your turn, my friend. It is iChart. iChart UAPS. It is your turn. Are you there, brother? I'll give you just a few moments. iChart. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Andreas, why don't you go?
Appreciate
Now
it.
that you're here.
Appreciate it, Chaz.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, what's up?
I was just curious, I've been trading for the last, I'd say 3 to 6 months. So I still consider myself a beginner.
Okay.
But I was wondering if you would recommend shorter term time frames or longer term time frames for somebody who's getting started. I'm
Longer.
longer term. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's like, do you want the easier road with more confidence, or do you want the more riskier road, with less confidence? In TA, the strength of every signal, well, the longer the time frame, the stronger the signal,
Okay.
right? So that's important. But do you have a day job? If you have a day job, you can't be trading the 1 hour chart.
No, I'm
Right.
pretty much committed here, so I can make it work. That makes sense to me because I've
The key
noticed
is going to be small amounts. Whatever you do, whatever you're thinking about for your position size, cut it in half at least.
Okay.
Because you need experience. You need a lot of experience, a lot of muscle memory, right? Maybe even cut it by 90%. Like, you just need to build up a lot of experience, and you're going to have to make a lot of mistakes. A lot of them will be dumb. Hopefully not too many repeat mistakes, but you journal. Make sure you have your trading journal along the way. Each trading idea, what it is, when it failed, what happened, what I learned, how I felt during the trade, and just build up that experience. And it's the only way you can do it.
Gotcha.
All right.
So when you say longer term, so you're holding trades typically for a few days, maybe weeks even.
Me?
Yeah.
It depends on what I'm doing. Like, I've got a short on the euro dollar I'm holding here. I could hold it longer if the trend continues. Most of my trades are like a day or less, usually less.
Okay.
Usually
Gotcha.
less. Yep.
Gotcha.
But it depends. If I'm trading options and equities, I can hold those for a while. It just depends on what I'm doing.
Yeah, I was just asking. I primarily trade futures. I've just been chopped up by fees before.
Yeah.
So
that means you're not. Then you got to make sure you're entering at a key pivot point and you're not playing the middle of the channel, the chop, right? If you play the chop, that's where you get eaten up. Like the theta, the time decay will eat you up. So you need to make sure you're entering your positions as momentum is changing. And how do you learn that? By learning TA and studying momentum.
Got it. Really appreciate that, Chaz, man. Thanks. You're the best.
Thank you, man. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube. iChart. What is going on, iChart? Love to hear from you today.
Hey, Cheds, thanks. I got a quick question about how you set orders on an exchange, and you kind of just touched base on it. But
yeah,
when you're setting an order, do you usually use a one cancels the other, and then just set your stop loss and take profit right away, and then just kind of let it ride, or do you typically just set your stop loss and then manually pull the trigger when you're ready to take profits?
What I do is I break up my position into many. Usually, I rarely have one position. Usually as a minimum, and that allows me to move those positions to various levels. I don't have to move all of them into profit at once. I can keep some at break even. I can move one halfway into profit, one, so that gives me a little more flexibility, right? I found that it's much harder when I'm trying to do it all at once. I have to make a big decision for the whole move, right? So I found that breaking my position size up or having multiple positions allows me to be more tactile, with my profit taking and stop loss strategies.
Okay, cool. Thanks. I'll start maybe breaking them into quarters and see how that goes.
It's going to be a lot. You'll find it's a lot easier.
Okay, cool. Appreciate it.
Good luck to you. All right, we have just a few more. Just a few more. It looks like we're getting through all of it. We've already spoken, so I'm just going to finish up with let's see. We have Adit.
Hey,
what's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, Big Chads? Appreciate you doing this, man.
Thank you.
So really quick, I kind of wanted like your cliff notes on understanding BTC Dom, and specifically, it's not
BTC
a chart.
Dominance?
Yeah, exactly.
My cliff note is one line. Never look at it. Delete it.
Oh yeah.
I haven't looked at it in 6 months at least, or I don't look at that chart. I'm not trading that chart.
Yeah,
right? I'm trading whatever. You're distracting yourself. You're giving yourself more reason. You're making it harder on yourself. You're going to make it easier to miss a clue in whatever chart you're actually trading. Focus on the price. It either holds support or not. And whatever you're trading, right? Whatever you're trading either has relative strength, relative weakness, however you're gauging it. All this time, people are looking at total market cap, BTC dominance. You're just making it harder on yourself. You're not trading that. You know what I mean? Simplify your approach. I mean, just go. You gotta brand that into your brain. I only care what the price is doing. I don't care about what some second order piece of information is doing. Not the order book's fine, stuff like that, but it's not as good as the price. On chain, all that stuff's fine, but it's the price. BTC dominance, is it going up because Bitcoin's going up, and altcoins aren't, or altcoins, is it going down because Bitcoin's going up, but altcoins are doing better? Like, you have to start looking at it and analyzing it now on all these multi-front. And now it's just like, what are we doing? You know, it's just something people look at because they're bored and they're waiting for the price to move. All right.
Yeah, it's like something I don't really look at, so that's what I was kind of curious because I see a lot of people talking about it.
Nakamoto has thoughts in this. Naka,
I would
what
love
do you
to hear
get?
it.
Yeah. So one thing I would say, I do agree with Sheds, and I've actually recently screwed myself up over this. You know, if you have some information that you're looking at and you think it's got alpha, then don't distract yourself with some other piece of information, especially if you don't know much about it. You know, trade. So if you're Cheds and you're very good at price action, you should probably just trade the price action and screen out everything else, treat it all as noise. Personally, I actually do look at dominance, but one thing I would caution is that Bitcoin dominance that you'll find on TradingView is actually wrong. So if you're looking at it, you're actually looking at incorrect information. And the reason it's wrong is because it actually includes all of the stable coins against Bitcoin, right? So, you know, you can have a situation where actually altcoins go down relative to Bitcoin, right? Which you would expect would move Bitcoin dominance up, but instead it doesn't. It goes down because actually stable coins went up even more, right? So stable coins are included in the count of altcoins against Bitcoin dominance.
Is there not a metric without it? Like, I know there's a lot of like TradingView's got a lot of like indexes. Is there not one that you can do like minus, stable coins?
Well, I mean, you can make one yourself, and I've actually made an indicator for it. I'm thinking of releasing that as an indicator for people to look at. You can make it yourself. You can just go, BTC market cap divided by total minus USDT minus USDC, and then at least you're looking at something that's approximately correct.
Right.
But that doesn't exclude the smaller stable coins, right? So if Luna has a pump, if UST had a pump and then got destroyed, it wouldn't include that. And it also, I did a bit of research into this. Not only is it wrong because it includes the stable coins, it's also actually TradingView's market cap for altcoins pre-2017 is totally wrong. It's like off by a factor of 10. So if you look at Bitcoin dominance pre-2017 on TradingView, what you're looking at is fake data. It actually didn't do what TradingView said it did.
Well, that sounds like a great reason to trade on the Bitcoin on the dominance chart.
Yeah. So it's basically total, like the TradingView chart is total bullshit. Like it's total bullshit. Like you need to actually dig into this. And I'm thinking, as I said, I'm thinking of releasing this. Even though I'm thinking of releasing it, I'm not sure just exactly how useful it is. I mean, you know, you can make like a synthetic. You can even trade Bitcoin dominance on like Binance. You can trade it on chain. I think that there are other things you can look at that are probably more alpha than just Bitcoin dominance, but I think there is certainly some alpha in it. Like, you know, at the recent bottom that we had in June, Bitcoin dominance put in like a blow off top, basically, right? Like if you're looking at the actual Bitcoin dominance, right? And that was something of a like these moves in Bitcoin dominance, they actually do matter, right? And if you look at Ethereum dominance as well, I mean, you know, Ethereum dominance has a very clear support line that it bounced off, where you could have bought Ethereum for, you know, $900, right? So again, the real Ethereum dominance excluding stablecoins.
There you go. So
Thanks for your help, guys.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
brother. Thanks. Great topic. Glad to have you. We got just a couple more. Danny Kill Kenny.
Hey, good to talk to you again, Cheds.
I recognize your name. So what's up?
That's the most famous part of me so far. So last time we talked, you'd kind of you had given a good recommendation for the CMT, so I got inspired and I signed up for it. And I was curious if you had any advice beyond the book that they have.
Yes. You know, the questions are probably going to be different than what you're studying for, but like they'll give you the knowledge to deduce the questions, like all the prep quizzes and all that. Like you don't get those questions, but you get like an idea of how they're going to formulate them. So it's you know, it's hard, but you can totally do it if you put in time. And like I just read it. I read the book a couple times. I made notes, and then I collated my notes, and I did the prep guide and all that stuff. And you don't want it, you don't need it. I did it. It worked for me. I think, but you'll be fine if you have like genuine interest. It's like learning about, like for me, it was like, you know, playing a cool video game as a 13-year-old, and like the Nintendo Power magazine showed up, and I'm like reading, you know, like an article about it. So it's like reading about something that I'm into, you know, and that made it easy for me. So you probably have some of that at least as well. If you've done the other stuff first, you'll be fine. Like you read Schaubacher and you've read Nissen, you know, Eastern and Western analysis. You've done that already, or did you go straight to CMT?
I went straight to CMT.
So I would, yeah, it's gonna be a lot harder. I mean, I don't recommend doing that, but it's not. It doesn't mean like it won't work out. I actually would recommend still buying those books and reading them. I would just, do you have the test scheduled yet, or do you just have the book?
I did schedule the test just to make myself commit, but yeah.
All right. So I would. Wow. So, you know, whatever you do, just start reading the textbook and hit me up if I can help you out. Okay.
I really appreciate it. Also, your interview with Peter Brandt was great, so I really appreciate that too.
Thank you. I was super honored, and it went like much better than I anticipated. So I'm really proud of it. So thank you, man.
Yeah, you have a good one. Thanks.
Yep. See ya. Last one. We have Michael. We've had you before, Michael. What's going on? Michael Saldi, what's going on? Are you there, buddy? We cannot hear you. You want to make sure Twitter has access to your microphone. I'll give you a few more moments. If not, we'll wrap it up with Big Jonas. I'm going to bring him up just to say a few words before we wrap things up. Michael, anything? Are you there, Michael? All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Not working. All right. I'm going to wrap things up. Hopefully, we'll get my buddy Big Jonas just to say something. You know, I am Big Cheds on Twitter. You can find me on YouTube at Cheds Trading, author of Trading Wisdom, 50 Lessons Every Trader Should Know. That book is available on Amazon right now, but you get the free version on my YouTube channel. I'm also a founding analyst at Bitcoin Live, the best-in-class educational platform for crypto. It's just a venture I'm really proud to be part of. For 4 years, I've been producing market reports twice a week. And I'm just one of several members on a world-class team. So it's something great if you're interested in about really learning how to trade. And TA, Naka, do you want to say goodbye to our friends? Do you want to wrap it up with any thoughts here?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, everybody. I'm actually on my alt account at the moment. My main account is still at Nakamoto Lisk. Yeah, I mean, thoughts on the market. I'm really, really unsure here. It's super conflicted. But you know, it is what it is. I've got some exposure, and I'm waiting to see what the market does next.
That's all you got to do is have a little exposure and just be ready for whatever comes next. So I'm really glad you decided to join today. Add some excellent context to the conversation. So, folks, this has been about
Appreciate it, buddy.
more than 15 minutes. We're wrapping this. If you are thirsty, you're hungry, you wish you had more, I just uploaded another Spaces yesterday. It was a 2-hour conversation I uploaded to my YouTube channel. I hope everyone is doing well. I would hope that you'll join us the next time we have one of these conversations and maybe even step up and ask your questions. It's really you. It's your questions that makes this conversation worthwhile. So thank you all for coming, and I will be talking to you soon. Big Cheds out. That was fun. That's right. It is you folks. It's all the questions from you folks. The interesting questions. You know, I can just tweet all day and people can say either I agree, I disagree, you're great, you're terrible. And it's hard to actually have a conversation. That's why I love these Twitter Spaces. So this is going right into the playlist, Twitter Spaces. Check out all the other great videos on my YouTube channel. Please subscribe there if you have not already. The book's on Amazon. You know about that. All 4 formats. It's done really well. So thank you. I'm really glad that the book has resonated. Free version, of course, on my YouTube. I am a founding analyst at Bitcoin Live. Twice a week, I do a full market report. If I'm sick, I'm on vacation, it doesn't matter. I stop and talk to the Bitcoin Live members. One member in a team, a world-class team. So if you're serious about learning how to trade, I would encourage you to check that out. Of course, I'm at Big Cheds on Twitter. Thank you, folks, for joining me here today. Maybe Friday night I'll do another stream. My last market stream was on 8/11, so I might do another one on Friday. Still just over 5,000 views. I bet most of you probably haven't even watched it yet. So check out the streams. Anyway, folks, thank you so much. I will talk to you soon. Big Cheds out.